Morning, everybody. How are y'all today? Alan and I here. Memorial Day morning. Alan has been diligently going at it. He's got so many tabs pulled up.
Welcome, everybody. It's Flat Earth Nation on Tommy's show.
Right. I don't know what to do with all those tabs he's got up there. The title I put on my video, I don't know what he put on his, but mine, Pray Without Ceasing. That's just something that's just been on my mind for several days. Is that do we pray without ceasing? I try to, recognize having God on my mind and, throughout the day when I'm not concentrating on something specific. But that's, the more I think about it, man, that is huge. That's just a statement in itself of just pray without ceasing.
I think that if you're praying without ceasing, it's kind of like, is your mind on God? And if you're, to know to do good and do it not is sin. And so if you're going like, okay, well, my main goal is to spread the gospel, but I'm doing, right now I'm doing the laundry. When I first saw you yesterday, you were doing laundry, and
Right. I was doing laundry.
Yeah,
unpacking that house.
It's we could have solved all these problems of the world,
hey, Rebecca,
right away, but life gets in the way.
Right, all day long. It just keeps popping up.
See, I don't even know if anybody can hear me right now, but
no, did you not do a test on your mic and camera?
Well, I don't have anybody to ask if they can hear me.
Are you on Facebook or where are you?
Yeah. So well, at least
I'll go to your Facebook.
At least it's recording of.
I'll go to your Facebook and see if you're on. I didn't get a notification that you were on.
Yeah, and that way, can you need to invite me onto your show?
I do. I can just put it in the chat, can't I? You can go to watch my show.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's all we should have to do. Hang with us, everybody. We're having fun here.
I just was agreeing with you, but I don't know what you said. Because I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. Now that it's like, okay, go do it. I'm like, do what?
Go to YouTube, go to my channel, and click on the the link.
All right.
I'm putting it in. Anybody else? Rebecca, you're there. You want to jump on? We'll take you.
Let's see.
Yeah, you're up here. Let's see if I can hear you.
So I have to
putting it in. Anybody else? Yeah. Rebecca, you're there. You want to jump on? Yeah. You're up here. Let's see if I can hear you. So I have to putting it in. Anybody else? Yeah. Rebecca, you're there. You want to jump on? There you go. Yeah. So you're on my channel.
Yeah. Yeah. Can they hear me now on my microphone?
Let me turn it back up.
Because I can see the delay. I'm not. So there's going to be a delay somehow. So my volume. Does it need to be off, and I just need to be on yours?
Yeah, just one or the other. Yours or mine. Doesn't matter. Just one or the other, yours or mine.
There. So now I'm on your microphone. Oh yeah, I can see that I'm a little bit pointed on you.
No, turn it
so
down.
Now I'm on your microphone.
Turn your speaker.
I did.
Wow.
Oh yeah, I can see that I'm a little bit pointed on you. So now I'm on your microphone.
That's brutal.
Can they still hear me on yours right now?
I'm on your Facebook. And I don't hear.
Oh, okay.
So doing that, that's the mic we're working on. Yep. There you go. And I don't hear.
Oh, okay.
So doing that, that's the mic we're working on. Yep. There you go. And I don't hear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess I'm on.
Doing that, that's the mic we're working on.
Hey, Glenn.
Yep. There you go. And I don't hear.
Thanks, bud. Thanks for helping, Glenn. And welcome.
So I'm not sure.
We can hear on both. I checked Facebook and YouTube. They can hear us.
I mostly just care about yours, Tommy, right now because
Yeah, no,
as
we can
long
hear.
as like,
And welcome.
am I on yours or am I still on mine? Oh,
Right.
I'm on there. So I mostly just care about yours, Tommy, right now because as long as like,
This is gonna be weird. I wonder what this is gonna look like.
am I still on mine? Oh, I'm on there.
Because I don't see you trying to. There you go, into the studio. There you are.
Oh. So I know I got that one.
That's that one. Yeah.
That was one.
That was crazy. We don't know what we're doing. We're just trying stuff. So here we go. See
Maybe
right
maybe
there.
I should just end my,
Let's see what
I should
happens.
just come on your show or
Let's see what happens. Gonna have that echo. Well, you are on my show. We're sitting right here, and there's 6 people watching.
I'm gonna end my broadcast.
We just don't have all the.
No, we're just
Tabs
experimenting. We're experimenting.
But we can pull up more
I'm
tabs.
just closing that. I am on Tommy's show, right?
Yep. You're still backstage.
And I still have my. Here's the comments on Tommy's thing. Hey.
So it's just got that echo.
But if they can see me and hear me, we'll just be off of your camera here.
All right.
And since I'm on, let me know if I can. Oop! I just canceled it.
If you're sharing over here.
Yeah, let me see if I can share.
Oh, I gotta let you back in. If I mute you, and it doesn't do that.
I want to be on, but where they can hear me, so that should go away. And you got me sharing the screen.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing that I wanted to go over with Tommy, but where they can hear me. Look at this, Tommy, the Colossus computer, man.
I remember this story about the Colossus.
Was a set of computers developed by the British code breakers, and of course it's, 1943 to 1945. Cryptanalysis of the Lorenz cipher, and when you put it in context with everything that we're, hoping to learn about our recent past, this is how we won World War II, according to them. And look, it wasn't Touchdown Tommy, it was Tommy Flowers who did it.
Hey.
Tommy. Post Office Research Station.
Right. Glyph said we're doing all as well.
Oh,
Sharon,
good.
He can hear. Good. We're pretty smart.
Thank you, Glyph. We got at least something, at least the Lord is working. The existence of the Colossus machine was kept secret. Nothing new there.
Why?
Until the mid-1970s.
Nobody keeps secrets.
All but 2 machines were dismantled into such small parts that their use could not be inferred.
Really?
The 2 retained machines were eventually dismantled in the 1960s. A functioning rebuild of a Mark II Colossus was completed in 2008. That's 48 years later by a team of volunteers. So it's on display there.
So they tore that down into so many pieces. You couldn't say, well, this piece goes to this decipher machine. Is that what they said? Is that what they said a while ago?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's what they inferred, was that it was all so individual. You couldn't say, hey, this is a decode machine, man. I recognize
Man,
these parts.
nobody was going to figure it out until they told you what it was.
Looks like a bunch of freaking
bicycle spokes.
Not spokes.
The Lorenz machine, these patterns were set up on the Lorenz machine and then used for a fixed period of time for a succession of different messages. Each transmission, which often contained more than one message, was encrypted and ciphered with a different start position on the wheel. So this is their, the Enigma machine.
Right. And watching the movie, it was interesting, and I wonder if it's true how they figured out the Nazi cipher, where every morning that one coder would always sign on or sign off, one or the other, with this German coder the same. And once they figured out that word, that first word, every time they signed on and off with, they figured that one word out, and then they got it all.
Oh man, they got it all.
So they say.
That's what they did. Here they had psi, they had chi, they had ciphertext, D-chi. Stepping switch, allegedly from an original Colossus.
Stepping switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and daughter a couple of weeks ago, and I don't remember what one of them said to bring it up, but I told them, I said, do y'all realize that we had MRIs? They had invented MRI back in late 1890s, early 1900s, and fax machines in the 1920s, and they're like, what? And I was like, okay, see, most people don't know this kind of stuff. They've been doing this kind of stuff to us for a long time.
This show is just getting started on what people didn't know, Tommy.
I know, right? Just starting to scratch the surface.
The Lord has really got it going on with the Spirit moving. Yeah, they reproduced the Colossus, and I'm sure it merged with the modern ones. And
now for me, when I see something like that, I find it hard to believe that there's any one guy that knows where every one of those lights and switches goes to exactly, and their function and their purposes. I just find that hard to believe. I don't know.
It's pretty hard to believe.
It's hard because that's so many components. That's
so
tough.
Is it really a computer?
Is it?
That's what they're wondering. Was ordered during the development of the prototype, and improved design had been developed. It just fell right in place. And so Mark 2.0 Colossus here, 4 of these were ordered on March 1944. And by the end of April, the number of the order had been increased to 12. First put the pressure on them by the 1st of June. And this is all 1 year before they used them for the invasion of Normandy on D-Day.
Yeah, Cliff.
Hoax Day. So it had a tape transport with an 8 photocell reading mechanism. That's computeristic. 6 character, first in, first out shift register,
Right. Soon as the first one went in, everything shifted over.
Exactly. 12 Tyroton ring storage that simulated the Lorenz machine, generating a bit stream for each wheel. Panel of switches for specifying the program in the total set. A set of functions that perform Boolean operations, a type of algebra, 1 yes, 0 false. A span counter, master control that handled clocking, stop and starting, 5 electric counters, and an electric typewriter. It was a computer.
Right.
Generating a clock signal from reading its sprocket holes. So we had something going on. They had this computer, and I'm not saying that Oh no, so the simulation theory started in World War II. Oh no, au contraire. I'm just saying they had computers to help assist them herding cats in trying this rewrite of history to get it, say this, do this, work that, work this, because they are continuing trying to do a cover up, which it comes from these teleprinters, Tommy.
Oh goodness.
Teleprinters come from the
teletype.
You think teleprinters come from the Colossus? That's what they want us to believe.
Right.
But the Lord showed me that's not what happened. But I can't get to that right now because I got to convince you that these Colossuses and the teletypes are tied together.
Right. Right.
Hey, look, there's a picture of the Colossus being used in the first teletypes during World War II. That was convenient.
In their laptop.
That was
version. That's their laptop version of the Colossus.
Tommy, that is not a laptop version, and you know it. That girl, if that was on her lap,
well, you know what I mean.
Her
legs are under the desk.
That'd be good for 5 seconds.
But remember, we talked about that old picture of that teletype office, or that big office, and there were no wires. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah, well, I do.
Look in this one. Yeah. In that last picture, they have wires everywhere for that stuff. But that only
do they really?
Yeah.
Do you see the wires?
I do.
Don't.
Not this one. The first picture you put up. Yeah, going back. Yeah, that one. See all of it wired on the walls. You got stuff all wired. There's wires.
So there's a wire.
I mean, unlike that other one, there were no wires, and there were what, 50 desks in there, 100 desks.
Well, let's see if we can be amazed and dot the I's and cross the T's. A teletype printer, electromechanical. I didn't get a chance to show you those books I bought yesterday, Tommy.
Boy, that was a sudden left turn.
No, it's not.
You say electromechanical. Hey, where's those books? All right, there's one. Matter and interactions 2. Electric and magnetic interactions.
So that seems like very topical.
It does.
It does. You know what? I wasn't ready for how hard it is.
You segued.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for how hard that is. It's going to take me more than just, I bought it yesterday. I'm not ready to report on it yet.
Well, yesterday I saw a good meme that showed the atomic numbers for aluminum and barium spell out ball, B-A-A-L.
Wow.
And guess what they're shoving in us? Barium and aluminum.
Because it helps with their ball worship.
That's right.
So it's got all of this is all computerized, because these mainframes point to multi-point configurations initially were used in telegraphy, which developed, wait a minute, Tommy, in the late 1830s and 1840s as the first use of electrical engineering. Wait a minute. We just took 100-year
leap.
From the 1930s and the 1940s, and here's your thing to back to the 1830s.
100 years.
1840s, telegraphy. The machines were adapted from those although it's saying that straight up telegraphy was not used until 1887. Well, that's still... They were doing this in 1887.
That's still 50 years.
They had all kinds of war practice, man. We're just getting warmed up.
Mini computer told you.
These machines were adapted to provide a user interface to early mainframe computers and mini computers, sending typed data to the computer and printing the response. Some models could also be used by those like IBM the ones that the Nazis used to keep their trains running so good, and everybody loved it. So since we shared our eugenics experiments from Virginia, they shared their train keeping records with us, and it was all on that punch tape.
Right.
Data storage cards. I guess you can do a lot with those punch cards, especially when you got people on your team like this knucklehead. Oh, here's his grave. Professor David Edward Hughes and his wife, Anna Chadbourne Hughes. Maybe that's how come the GH is still prevalent. It's on so many grave sites that they had to keep it as a part of their phonetic thing, you know?
Maybe.
I mean, because they couldn't even spell court. They had it C-O-U-B-E or C-O-U-R-T. I mean, they had a lot spelling here, but here's the guy that invented it. There's the machine. And see, I just wanted to show you one that a rare picture of Professor David Edward Hughes, inventor of this.
Wait, that's pretty cool looking. Is that just reeling off of there? Like
This is the computer tape. As he types, it prints it on these tapes.
And it coils it up on that.
It coils it up so that they have a record of the computer code breaking stuff, man.
All right, that's pretty wild.
That is pretty wild, man. What?
But you look at that computer tape.
I'm just showing pictures
and think about this. You see that computer tape deal, but at that time, it wasn't long before that the paper they were printing books on, you know, and you know, just basic paper they were using was pretty crude. But look at this specialty tape that tears off. It's perforated. It run, you know, that's weird. That's technology.
Hey, here you got
Just
your
simple stuff.
You got some sort of cable here. You got your boo cable.
Yeah, good too.
Yeah.
I think that says etc. under it.
Here's your GP. He's typing it up here. Whatever he's got going here. You know, when he ordered this little part, they said no problem.
Those look like piano.
And when he wanted it, you know, I wanted attached it so I can clip my paper here. They said, no problem, man. We'll just make your machine any way you want it.
That is pretty intricate. Love the little
clamp
and the piano keys.
Yeah. He's writing computer. Hey, look, he got a little basket up here too, man. Hey, you know what else this guy did here? My uncle, he invented the microphone too.
Right.
Yeah. He's buried at that very famous Highgate Cemetery in London.
Not a bunch of Masonic symbols on that picture.
No, this fella might have just been a straight up golden age past dude,
right,
you know?
Right. I was looking for Masonic symbols other than just the basic pyramid over the top of the door. I didn't notice anything.
Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, they got was it a time of the golden age past? Anna lived until 1919, born in 1826.
Well, that's good that there are no blatant Masonic symbols.
Doesn't look like a lot of secrets.
So that's all I could.
We might, we don't want to cut him too much slack though, brother.
No,
because we haven't found out about him yet.
Right.
And besides, you know, even like, you know, my dad was a Hughes, my mom was a Walton, but unfortunately, both of their side of the Hughes and Walton family kind of went for the wrong side in that Civil War.
Right.
It's like my family might have been on the side that wanted to keep the slaves according to their history. And
no, The ones that wanted to keep the slaves won.
So even though that the
They
Hugheses were from Indiana and the Waltons were from Missouri, it didn't trickle downstream for my side of the family.
The ones who were totally in favor of slavery won the Civil War.
Is that the way it went?
Well, yeah. It was the Democrats that instituted it, that perpetuated it, that fought against abolishing it. It was the left.
I know Static in the Attic is pretty convinced the Civil War went down. Something happened.
Something happened.
We don't even know what years. I mean, we're talking about computers that we started in 1940. We ended up, we're in the 1830s right now, man.
Wasn't the Civil War past this?
Where's that stupid stuff I have on all of that? Oh, I'm on the page. Telegraphy.
Yeah, wasn't the Civil War way after that 1837?
Here's that Hughes telegraph. Remember those? And we've studied telegraph. They had all of these things,
Right. But why the little clickety clicker over there if you've now got a keyboard? What the hell?
Look at this thing here for your balls out spinning. What is this going to be? Is that
Turn it on. Let's see how it works.
I only got the one picture of him because there's not a lot about Mr. Hughes here that was left over in history. See, because he invented it too early and somebody convinced him it wasn't what he thought it was, and so they didn't use it for 8 years, and then another guy named Hertz reinvented it after 8 years or something. It's
Sorry,
confusing.
Guys. I got a chest cold happening. Allergies out here in this new environment turned me up pretty good.
So this is how they did all of that. Remember, we saw them sending these things,
those faxes over the radios,
without wires, and that's how they ran the stock market in the 1830s with those type of machines. So it looks like it's all tied in with this Colossus thing, man.
But like I was pointing out about the one office with no wires, that was all wireless. You look at that picture and study it hard. There is no evidence of power plugs, wires running machine to machine. None of that's all wireless.
We got a direct connection, Tommy, from the mud flood and the telegraph and the electric to hidden history, and we just don't know what's going on, man. All we know is they've been lied to about the Bible, and they better start paying attention. And we want to debate you because we want iron to sharpen iron because we're trying to get this figured out because our eternal salvation is at risk.
Hey, Ellie.
That's not too much to expect, is it? I mean, it's like, wow, they're worried about their eternal salvation and want to nail it down. Of course we do. Hi, Ella. It's good to see you. Sorry about all your trouble with Morgan. We've been keeping up with it, and we're just flabbergasted. But we've got to move on. I mean, those type of things are going to happen, and you deal with it and move on. And, the hope deferred brings joy in the morning. And, we wish that everybody that we would meet and witness to would respond well, but it doesn't happen that way.
Hey, Big Slapper.
We're setting the world on fire right now on this show, and we've got it just going on, and we're only getting warmed up. We're on teleprinters, the Colossus computer. Let's just listen about this Colossus computer a little bit. Oh, maybe
The first thing I knew that I was going to go to Bletchley was the old reports of
we gotta turn one of them off.
Why is that doing that? I thought it was muted.
given little diagrams, often hand-drawn,
It's
so
okay.
to go away and make that.
I was doing things, but being an engineer, I had a reason for doing things. And I couldn't quite make out what I was doing. I was assembling and testing
What the hell?
bits
So this is the first super. Probably still hear me because
Yeah.
they can see you too.
No.
But and I will. But what I want to do is just reset what I've been talking, because I see Greg's here now, and I watched your video last night, Greg. You sure are busy. Still hear me because they can see you too. But
All right, guys.
so
There's the link if anybody else wants to join us for a minute. That's up to y'all. Alan's going to use it.
so you just hit the link, and then you hit.
Hang on, I got it.
That's probably me,
Yes.
because I had mine muted earlier, and I turned
That's
mine on
what
because I had to. That'll go right away. It's because I turned mine on earlier because I wanted to play that video about the Colossus.
Yeah.
Hey, how you all going?
Good.
How are you, bud?
That's good. Great, thanks. I'm doing well, thank you. And yes, I'd just like everyone to move on, not to, bring anything up. Just move on, pray.
Right.
Yeah, great.
All right. Yeah, I watched your video too. And I was telling Alan, a lot of times you if you watch those videos, you can't understand. You have to go to that transcript like you did.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't have deciphered any of that out unless the transcript is there.
Exactly. Yes.
And that was a catch. I would never thought of that. That was great.
Yes. But I'd like to move on. And I was more concerned about Alan and the other subscribers. It's not me I'm worried about. It was not about me.
Sure.
Sure. I'm concerned about Morgan, and I am concerned about everyone that follows.
Right.
I'm really worried about Alan, like if he says something, on the live stream and that, you can lose your channel, Alan,
I was very upset with the whole situation.
Yeah. So
and here's the deal. Scotty Waddles, Tommy calls him Slapshot Scott.
Yeah,
he's familiar with this type of situation, and he received some unfortunate. His 30-year-old daughter passed away.
Oh no.
And his family didn't inform him for 10 hours because he's a flat earther and he's a religious fanatic. And the thing is that for the first 14 years, I mean, she was his little travel buddy. They would go look at the mounds in Wisconsin and, study geology. And, she was introduced him to veganism and things like that. Tried to anyway. It didn't, and then it was heroin. And he thinks that that's a type of what Morgan is into, just anything of, because there was a drug thing, and all we can do is just do it. We move on.
Yeah.
If somebody departs from us, it says in the scripture, it shows that they were never really, a part of us, because you can only walk for so long, and you can only continue walking if you really do agree, because how can you walk together unless you agree?
That's right. And, Scotty, I just want to let you know my prayers are with you, mate. And may your daughter rest in peace, bro. My thoughts
Right,
are
right. We ought to all say a
Amen.
prayer for Scotty and his family. That's
Yeah.
brutal. I can't imagine going through something like that.
Yeah, no, like losing one of your children would be the hardest thing to go through.
Right.
But yeah, no, Alan, you're 100% right. You can't walk, and generally when you do walk with the Lord, you can generally spot these people. You know, calling them out isn't something that I generally do, but I can understand what he's going through. My brother went through something similar, but you know, I'm here to help. But you know, you can push me away, but I'll be here to help. And you know,
Right.
anyone wants to talk to me at any time, I'm here to help. So
Right. Well, you saw in the comments on our one video where we had that other guy that was having a problem with me, and I just told him, okay, right, you're right, I'm
Yeah.
wrong. I'll do
Yeah.
better. Yeah, I just walk away from it.
Yep.
Just, my bad.
Right now, and even with this show, Ella, people are going to be woke up when they see what we're talking about with computers in World War II.
Yes, they
Go
were
back
around.
to the the 1830s and 40s, and by the time I'm finished with my tabs and what we're talking about, everybody's going to know it was our recent history. We're dealing with liars.
Amy
You
knows
know,
what I'm talking about. Amy, I think you liked that comment to him earlier today. I'll do better. I'm sorry.
so
Yeah.
I'm going to hit share again and pick up again, and I think I'm going to. Let's see.
I'm sorry. I'm just messing with the chat here, y'all.
And thanks for having me on.
Are you going? What'd you say, Al?
I just want to say thanks for having me here, and I appreciate your support. You know, the last few days with everyone, you know, giving me that support.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness, yeah, because it's so uncalled for. The main thing I would tell you is don't spend too much time trying to figure out the insane mind. You know,
Oh no, yeah, no, I'm not even gonna.
if you could figure it out, that would mean you're insane.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna procrastinate on it. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna procrastinate. I'm here to help if anyone wants help, but yeah,
Right.
I'm not gonna lose sleep over it or procrastinate. So this is why I have the full armor of God and pray daily for this
Right.
reason. I expected this to happen when I created an account and started doing all this stuff. So I mean, it's part of the territory, isn't it? You know, with all kinds of things that we do as a Christian.
Right.
Not just YouTube, you cop it wherever you go, and it's just where you know you have to be ready, and with time grows wisdom, and you know you learn from your mistakes, and this is how we get wisdom.
Well, and I've over the years just decided that, you know, anybody that wants to argue about any of that kind of stuff or wants to point fingers or call names, first off, they're not there in the right mindset with the right intent.
That's right, yeah. But also, if someone's lashing
You're
out,
looking to poke people and point fingers at people, you're not here for the right reasons.
They're not.
That's
and
not.
generally, when someone's doing that type of behavior, it means that they have some of those underlying behaviors themselves. Because if they didn't, why would they get so defensive in the first place? I mean, if they didn't do what they said they didn't do, why are they getting their back up so much? Why are they having to defend their name so much? You know, if you haven't done something wrong, you don't go on about
I'm
it.
going to get to this earth-changing material.
Yes, sorry,
But
Alan. Yes.
first, I
That's
want
okay.
I want to say and add to this that, you know, I'm glad you're here, Stu and Greg, but I'm particularly glad that there's at least two, there's Amy and there's Ella here, because Morgan's attack was nothing but a false view of women.
Yes, and yeah,
And that was, and it would diminish it if I didn't recognize that and say, you know, look, there's a place, you know, and as we go forward, you know, in our church and stuff like that, I'm strict enough, you know, with like, I want people to wear bonnets, but we can't go to this ridiculousness like, oh, the Bible didn't refer to Phoebe as a deaconess, you know, so we've got a lot of things to work out, and we just don't need his type of nonsense of just self-creative a creative correctiveness because you're a woman, and he obviously was trying to impress you with his manliness.
Yeah, it didn't work. Sorry.
But let's be honest. That's what was going on. That's his
Yeah.
version of flirting or something.
Yeah, no, he needs some advice.
Man, I mean, we weren't born yesterday.
No.
Right.
But
And-
yeah, I did feel it was like that. And looking at some of his subscribers, I noticed he was subscribed to that Jurassic bloke that I pointed out a couple of months back that, was carrying on. And I pointed out to him about the date being on the 7th of January. It's just the ego, and it comes back to those 7 deadly sins, doesn't it, in our daily lives?
There you go.
The devil is at our heels daily, nipping, just waiting for us. And he just lays out these little traps, put one here, one there. And they try to get a Christian. If they get a Christian, that's, like bonus for them. And so these little traps are laid, and it's whether you do what Jesus decided to do and say, no, I don't want to partake in that. I don't want to be part of that world. And that's the way I look at it.
What world I want you to be a part of, and it's only going to be, this video is just 11 minutes, and use everything that, as you know, since you go, oh, Earth's history is confusing to Earth's history was confusing. Use everything that you've learned to prepare yourself to see this video about a ship that was supposed to tie in the telegraphy, the telegraph, what they ran the Dow on in the stock market in the 1830s to this one ship. So if I could share, Tommy, I'm going to go ahead and
You go right ahead and share.
and click it. And if you could just click that big screen on the right, no, up above, right here.
Oh, watch it.
You're right, Alan.
Please don't fall out of the chair.
I'll fall out of the chair, man, if that's what it takes. So if you could click that one so I share the whole screen,
I did.
they'll be able to see this thing. It's so, I don't want to overuse the term badass, but it's bad.
You're not sharing on mine.
Why?
You two are like the odd couple. Your charisma and your persona are
Why
so
is it
cool.
not sharing?
Yeah.
I'm sharing, man.
There, I got it.
Now we got it. Yeah.
I got it.
Cool.
We're figuring this stuff out, man.
But we got to be able to listen to it, Tommy.
High tech rednecks.
Okay, so there's no sound
Hold
yet.
on.
We'll figure it out.
I got it. Right.
Not that one.
Have you got too many tabs open or something? Is something else
No,
playing?
we don't know how to do it.
Right, we're still learning, man.
Just see if you have another one playing in the background, one of your tabs there. I think Big Slapper mentioned something before about
Tommy, can you pull this up and play it?
Okay. What's it on? Is it in YouTube?
Yeah, see that echo feedback
Thing?
Yeah, that's weird.
It is really weird.
I don't know why it's doing this to us. We'll figure it out.
Especially when I've stopped the video.
So there must be something playing in the background.
Right.
I'm just trying to find Big Slapper's comment. I just started my laptop up. Sorry,
The Bank of Japan thing was playing. I was in for much later.
That is so weird.
That is. It's like Twilight trippy stuff. Just trying to read Big Slapper's comment. I think Big Slapper said, what did you say, Big Slapper? So I'm not sure. I can't hear them.
I am going to have to send you.
Do you want to? Yeah, I don't know. I can't hear. I don't know if you guys can hear me as well. That's a really weird thing happening. Big Slapper, what did you say? Mute all pages except the video you want to play. Can you try that, Alan? Just go along the top. We can't hear. Can't hear, mate. No sound. Tommy, no sound. Yeah, guys, I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear them. Hello?
See, we can hear you. Yeah.
Now I can hear you.
you.
I couldn't hear anything from you guys. Sorry. Big Slapper said to try mute all the pages except the video you want to play.
Yeah, I got that. We just
Yeah,
You just need to log in now and,
Right.
and play the videos. And if we're going to do this, we're going to have to, because we can't just keep switching back.
you getting frustrated, Alan?
Yes, very.
Are you getting frustrated?
yeah, I couldn't hear anything that was playing or anything that you guys were saying. So I don't know what happened.
Right. And I don't know if they can.
No,
There's no feedback there, so that's not too bad.
right. So
You just need to share the screen.
share.
So that fixed the echo loop. It's really frustrating, those loops, feedback loops that happen, isn't it? And it's hard to
It's
explain
crazy.
to someone. Yeah. Thanks, Big Slapper, for your help. You said you muted the wrong one now.
Another thing I like about StreamYard is that if there's ever howdy, y'all. Welcome.
All right, y'all hearing it? Am I
Yep.
sharing?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right, here we go.
Back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the SS Great Eastern. And this was the largest ship of the 1800s. Now, when it was being built, it was known as Leviathan. And according to the current narrative, this is not something that we had inherited from another civilization. This is something that we constructed in 1858. Now, this vessel was 692 feet long, the longest ship ever constructed, and it would hold this record until 1899, so for over 40 years. This vessel also had a gross tonnage of almost 19,000, and this was another record that wouldn't be broken until 1901, so another over 40 years. This ship could hold over 4,000 passengers, and this was an accomplishment that was not again reached until 1913. So over 50 years it held the record of being able to hold the most people. But those aren't even the most important aspects of this ship I want to talk about. They say this ship had the largest paddle wheels ever constructed. So that's another feature that's very revealing. And just by the look of it, it has a very old world nature. It has something about it that is just really fascinating. And I hate to use the word, but that's how I feel when I see it. I feel fascinated looking at these photographs. Now, they say the hull of this ship was all iron. At least that's what the narrative says. And besides that, which was already interesting, iron being a relatively new use on these types of very large vessels, we also have that the hull of the ship was double skinned, basically being a hull within a hull, and this was a feature for protection. But what I found to be super interesting was that while this feature of a double skinned hull is used today in almost all ships of this size, it was not replicated again for 100 years
Tommy, that 100-year thing,
Keeps being 100, doesn't it?
and it's, you know, the last vision of Daniel was of iron,
Right,
and this was double skinned with iron. What did iron do? Oh, it crushed all things.
right.
Iron crushes all things.
Look at those chains.
Look at the
That's amazing.
chains, man. And we'll see. This story falls apart.
After the construction of the SS Great Eastern. So another way to look at it would be they could not reconstruct or duplicate the features of this ship for over 100 years, even though nowadays it's known as commonplace for ships of this size. And I just found that to be a very revealing factor about this ship. Another interesting fact is that it had 6 masts, and those masts were named after the days of the week. So you had Monday through Saturday. However, you did not have Sunday. And they said this was a sort of nod to the Bible, where he created, God did created the earth. And then on the 7th day, he rested and basically viewed over his paradise. So the metaphor being that the SS Great Eastern was the
Tommy, that looks like the Titanic in those
Wow.
movies and things like that, where now it's fake photos, fake history, this and that.
Wow.
They're
Right.
faking opulence pretty good.
Right, that is pretty
Golden Ages.
pretty smoky mirrory if they're faking it.
The Golden Age is over, everybody.
paradise that they had created. And these masts were labeled, 1 through 6, Monday through Saturday. But there's a lot of old world photographs associated to the quote unquote construction of this super ship. And I found them to all be very interesting. There's a lot of interior paintings and photographs of the ship, and it just gives off a very old world nature, very refined and very interesting. Now, they say that Isambard Kingdom Brunel, pictured the second from the right here, designed this ship, and it's just remarkable to me, basically, that we were
Now the top hats, the big stovetop
The
hats.
seal skin top hats made from the St. George and St. Paul Islands from the Russian American company, where they were clubbing seals. And when the Japanese were given reparations, the Aleutians were also given reparations because they were kept as slaves by the Russian American company to club seals for over 40 years. Yeah, that's where those hats came from.
That wasn't my question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, though. Sorry, man.
I didn't even. Well, that was just a statement deal that I'd read a deal, I believe, or saw a video where they said those people were wearing top hats to cover their pointed heads. Seriously.
Yeah, we've got a tab
to
on
even create a
phrenology
vessel like
pulled
this,
up.
and it certainly seems like we were not able to duplicate the sort of exuberance we put into this design, and just makes me question the narrative of how and why we built a
That reminded me, they were showing that wheel, and he said 100 years before they could duplicate. But wasn't in like the 1854 World's Fair? Didn't they have that huge freaking Ferris wheel that they ended up burying?
Yeah.
And they found one of the bolts that was like 10 feet around or something. So 1854 was that World's Fair, right?
Right.
And they had that huge wheel there. I'm just
This
saying.
looks like one of those pictures where they go, look what we found.
Right. Get up on it, Bill. Let's take a
Yeah.
picture.
vessel like this.
Bill will
because
climb it.
according
Yeah.
to what they have written, and you'll see this photograph, this is said to be a storm hitting the ship. It's knocking everything down in the dining hall. You also have the steam whistle here. But
Oh,
what they
there's a
say
year.
that
There's a
this
year.
SS Great East
That 1857, that looks like it could be one of the, I don't know. That looks like the year of our Lord. It's not the same size. I don't know.
But what they say that this SS Great Eastern was used for mainly was laying the transatlantic telegraph line. And I had long wondered, we see in a lot of the old world photographs, telegraph lines, and they seem to predate the electric lines and things of that nature. But I always wondered exactly how we got these telegraphs overseas. How were we able to communicate from North America to Europe and the such? And they're saying this was done by a telegraph line being laid on the bottom of the ocean from Ireland to Canada. And they basically say they used these steam ships to lay this wire. And I just find it to be absolutely remarkable. And as we're told in the current narrative, the first piece of this transatlantic telegraph was laid at this castle in Ireland. And that already has me asking questions, because this castle was in ruins at the time, yet this is where we began laying the telegraph wire. Just very interesting details pop up all around when discussing this.
He's a very
Now, they'll say
suspicious
that
person.
this telegraph
Thanks.
system was basically constructed in sections, and they say the first rendition was from 1858, but of course, according to the current narrative, that only lasted for 3 weeks. And then they say in 1865, using the SS Great Eastern, they began laying the second rendition of this telegraph system. And this would be the system that would be used for the next 50 years. And I find it to be remarkable. And then they show you photographs.
Hold on, Tommy. Did it only last a month? It says here that the signal quality declined rapidly, slowing transmission to an almost unusable speed. The cable was destroyed the following month when Wilhelm Whitehouse applied excessive voltage to it. Nice job, Wilhelm.
Was that on
They
purpose?
began laying the second rendition of this telegraph system, and this would be the system that would be used for the next 50 years. And I find it to be remarkable. And then they show you photographs like this, and they say this was the system that laid down.
That's not
this
even the same
telegraph
ship.
wire.
No.
They show you all these complicated gears and equipment, but when you dive into the narrative, there isn't really a lot explained to actually show you how this was being done. They'll show you the machinery, but they won't really explain the process. And that's what I'm confused about. According to the current narrative, they laid these underwater on the floor of the ocean lines along what they called the telegraph plateau. And I don't quite see how this would be possible if you were doing it in sections. Who would be dropping down, or how would they connect the different sections? How would they mark where they needed to be? And it's just a very difficult process to understand. And look at this photograph. They say these are men wrapping up the cable, and it certainly looks to me like some sort of ritual. Why would you not use steam-powered machinery to wrap the cable up? Why would you use manpower to wrap the cable to put it onto the ship? I don't
Isn't it the
understand
Irish?
that,
They're not real
but those
smart.
are the artistic depictions that are provided. But I digress again. It's just really interesting to me who
He
I
said
don't
early
know.
it started in Ireland, so that makes sense. The Irish ain't real smart. They
Oh,
wrap it
come
by
on,
hand. Well,
Tommy.
look at them. They're wrapping by hand instead of a machine.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Go.
Where did they have all the copper mines and all
Right,
the
where
iron
they-
mines? Where did they get all the minerals from? You
Exactly.
know, if there were no
Where's the
ships,
lumber?
like where did all this labor come from? You know, where the population wasn't too high, so where are all these mines?
Exactly. Where's the foundry that they
Yeah,
smelted
the
in
press.
and
Yeah,
tooled it out and made the copper wire?
Yeah.
For all we know, they
Wow.
found that ship floating with just
Yeah, full of wire.
the pure copper already spun on it, and it said, "Hey, let's just
Yeah.
over
Try and use it.
try to hook it up, and they messed it up after a month, man.
After a month. That's wild. Just think about that process. You did all this, manufactured all this while you laid it across the ocean, and within a month, yeah, it's destroyed. Do
Yeah.
what?
And so after he destroyed it, did they whip up
Laid
another?
one
Let's
out,
just get another one.
beside it.
Let's just do it again. Well, they got pictures of there's a cable, there's a
There's one
slice
right
of it.
there.
Yeah, but wouldn't the materials, the copper be rare? So, how could they just knock another one out so quickly? Where are all the
Exactly.
materials?
Right. We got
Exactly.
some hidden history going on.
Yeah.
But these pictures are just priceless of what they want us to believe.
Right.
And when it's just, the next half hour of this show is going to be pretty sad. So, let's just enjoy this, mud flood. It was it's interesting and stuff because it's about to just take a really sick twist.
Yeah. Okay.
So we got these guys all going on, Tommy, and I think we've proven that this guy's proven that, this cable here. Well, I guess we could listen to the last 4 minutes, and then before I ruin everybody's memorial there.
8 messages at a time. So, even for this process to be used, and in all the old world photographs where we see telegraph lines and different things of that nature, even if you had to be wealthy to use the telegraph.
You see that? A rate of about 0.1 words per minute. And they're going to, oh, that's how they ran the stock market. Yeah, sure they did. The inaugural message took 67 minutes to transmit, but it's 16 hours for the confirmation to be telegraphed back.
Does it really make sense for them to lay down this telegraph line and on this line only be able to send one message one way at a time, and the message itself takes a very long time to come through?
Right.
While they say the SS Great Eastern was powered by steam, it also had sails and even oars for paddling, which lends me to believe this could be a reconstructed or repurposed machine. So the SS Great Eastern and the Great Telegraph Line can both be attributed to the purpose of gathering, I guess, more funding and for scientific advancement, and I do support that. It just leads a questionable narrative and a questionable sort of taste in my mouth when I try to digest all the information they give about this. So I thought I would share that with you. It's super crazy information I'd never heard talked about before. So let me know your thoughts about the SS Great Eastern, aka Leviathan, and also let me know about the transatlantic.
So that's Jared Boosters. I've shown a few of his videos, before, and they're amazing. I know that.
Yeah, I've seen a few links that you've left, and there's so many questions. The narrative, like we can see, through their little barriers they've put up, like the photoshopping with the whitewashing and everything else. But the narrative is falling apart. There's so much info there.
John Travolta.
Yeah. Now, hello. You there? Can anyone hear me at all? Hello. Can anyone hear me? I don't know what's going on here. No, I think they're having sound troubles. I think they're talking about Scientology, and you know, Scientology to me is the new age religion that'll replace, you know, Christ and everything for the NWO. So yeah, it's crazy sound problems. I'm not quite sure what's going on.
Had to scream.
But with this
We should be back.
Yeah, you're back. Hello. Yeah.
Hi, we
Sam
just
dropped
did
Undone ourselves.
yeah. So what I was going to say is that now we tie it all in. I'm going to go backwards, Ella,
Yep.
and tie in the telegraphy, the David Edward Hughes, the guy who invented the microphone. There's frequencies involved and everything else. And the electromagnetic radiation. Can we? Yeah, there you go. And it all ties back to these what seemed like a new phenomenon, which led to the Colossus computer that they admitted they used during World War II. How recent is everything?
Very recent.
Super recent. And how perverted are they?
Twisted sick.
They're stupid, crazy, and they put out these guys, and it's like
He looks like a perv.
L.
I mean,
Ron
he
Hubbard brings the world Tom Cruise and John Travolta. What do we have? What do they have in common? Well, mysterious sex lives that people question all their lives. And I don't want to get into too much about it, but
Yeah.
here in December 4th, 2017, Tony Ortega decided he should write an article about it that says, yes, L. Ron Hubbard wrote even more about children and sex, and we need to talk about it. Well, we're finally catching up with that. Second in her series. We understand that these stories are uncomfortable for some former scientist. They're uncomfortable for anybody, not just some former Scientologists.
But why only former?
Well, the new ones are just,
They're
I
okay
guess
with
they're
it?
little boy shopping.
They're okay with it?
Why do some generals who admire the Greeks, never talk out about, they took little boys with them to battle, it was pedestal.
No joke.
Yeah.
And everybody knows about it. And for some reason, you could get kicked out of the United States military if you told what happened on Thursday nights, because they could see it with their infrared cameras, what they were doing with little boys and camels.
Right.
And then they're dealing with them like, oh, hello, General from the other armies in Afghanistan. How you doing, guys?
How'd you sleep last night?
Oh, they slept good.
Yeah. Didn't Ruth Bader Ginsburg also say that the consent age should be lowered to 12? Didn't she say that as well?
She sure did.
And she was the Supreme
She
Court
stood
judge
for
of the
that
United
for a long
States.
time.
Yep.
She stood on that for a long time, yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
Ruth Bader Ginsburg said Jay's consent should be around 12 years old.
Yeah.
She-
Because places like Philippines and Thailand, they have age of consent as 12.
No, the Scientologists would disagree. Let's listen to a couple of their things here. We understood it was uncomfortable. We have followed up with victims featured in Leah's show, like Miriam Francis. We started a new occasional series with the help of a Sonny Piera, Mark Plummer, about the way kids were treated in the Sea Org. We have been working to make more people aware of a very disturbing statement by Hubbard about how a 7-year-old girl should react to being kissed by a man, which appears in Scientology's most important book, Dianetics. We've examined a horrifying 1952 lecture about past lives and the sexual abuse of children. And Scientologists have explained to us how this resulted in an environment that condoned child abuse in Scientology. They're going to have to re-examine Hubbard's words and actions regarding children and sex.
So in other words, they're going to do what they did in 1984, maybe go out and re-edit everything and remove anything that can lead back to that, and change the narrative so it fits the story, so no one gets any ideas or wakes up to their deception.
They'll look into it for sure.
You will skip this paragraph. It was during his last 6 years of his life. While he was in hiding in 1982, he put out Battlefield Earth, a return to the space opera genre he had been known for in the late 1930s and early 1940s. He then followed up with a monster work, a 1.2 million word manuscript that Sea Org worker Robert Von Young found a way to edit and divide into 10 separate books, the Mission Earth series. So chapter 6 of Villainy Victorious begins with a Earth girl, Teeny Whopper. She must have been 14 or 15 at the most, and a PR man in his 30s. Teeny informs Madison that they have been shanghaied by a man who turns out to be an extraterrestrial. Teeny says she realizes the difference because of the large size of the alien's penis and testicles, too big for any humans, and I'm an expert, Teeny Whopper said in the book. Madison is gloomy after realizing that he is being taken away from his mother, who is his sex partner.
Nasty.
In order to make the best of their situation, Teeny Whopper finds a way to make some cash on their trip to the planet Voltaire, which is some 22 million light years away. She pimps out another passenger.
Oh, no.
The Catamite Tula, Wikipedia. In its modern usage, the term catamite refers to a boy as the passive or girl receiving partner in anal intercourse with a man. L. Ron Hubbard, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, no.
They bring you the world of pedophiles, hidden history, and a narrow road.
Yeah.
We're sick.
They're sick, man. Twisted. Like, I
And
don't
there
know.
were people trying to sound the alarm about these people for a long time.
Oh,
And
yes.
the powers
right,
that
yes.
be, the powers that be protected this guy for 60, 70 years now. I mean, think about it.
The character Madison learns about Teeny Whopper's activities when Blixco, Captain Bolt, shows him into a room. Tula, a pretty looking boy who's one of those receivers, pretty looking boy with makeup on his face and a beatific smile, like the Beatitudes, is lying face down on a bed as a cruise member is getting back into his clothes after sodomizing the boys. This is PG, way past 14. Tula is licking his lips and smiling a vacant smile. Teeny Whopper sticks a marijuana joint in the boy's mouth and counts the cash. Ladies and gentlemen, Battlefield Earth excerpts on Flat Earth Nation, because the end is going to be in this generation, and blessed are those who make the 1335. Walter arrives in that Voltaire. Madison is flat broke and thinks he sees Teeny working as a slave. He makes it his goal to rescue her, but she laughs at him. It turns out that he mistakenly thought was slave work was her planting marijuana at a deserted place she had taken over. And she still got the Catamite Tula. Man, I don't even want to go on, Tommy.
It's gross. It really is.
What is it?
Get the picture.
And these people, there's tens of thousands of people that worship this guy, bought his books, listened to every word, hung on every word he said.
Yeah.
The kind of brainwashing it took.
They're basically desensitizing,
Yeah.
have you ever looked at why they call the generations after the war and that they call them baby boomers and then generation X, Y, and Z? Because what comes after Z?
It's over.
It's over. Yeah, exactly. And we're at that stage with these children now that, everyone is desensitized to everything through the movies and, all that kind of stuff. A lot of movies from Hollywood get banned in overseas countries for this reason. This is just
Right.
we know you know, Al and I, we know this, and I knew he was one of those people, but I didn't realize he was that sort of deep into it, sick about it. And the media will cover it up because the media is already owned and bought.
It was the untold story. Well, we didn't know because it was the untold story.
But think about it, guys. Have we not found in almost every situation that a leader like that is a perverted pedophile? Every time. Go through
most of them are Freemasons too. Sorry, Tommy. Most of them are Freemasons.
Right. But it shouldn't be a surprise that he was this kind of pedophilia. And that he's probably satanic. I'm sure he did sacrifice.
It is the Operation Paperclip. The United States merged with these Nazis. Let's find out a little bit about it. It's an odd footnote in the lives of two notorious 1900s figures, Leni Riefenstahl and L. Ron Hubbard. It says briefly collaborated on a screenplay that was to be a remake of her popular 1932 film, and her directing debut, The Blue Light. The Blue Light. I'm focusing on that blue light because blue is something that's new too. Right. Since then, there's been very little written about it. I just found out about it. I'm trying to pass it out, but I know it won't be too little too late. That we have going for us. Right. So he was a sci-fi author, and it's saying, although they lived together. If you read this whole article, you'll find out that they have an actual copy of a script they wrote together. It turned up, contacted the family, and it was all about remakes, and it's all about Hitler, so that they can breed people like this, and they did. Look how happy they were. Look at their hats. Can you fake that happy? He looks like a gritty little schoolgirl, doesn't he? Mm. After Germany surrendered, she was arrested, held for 3 years, and, kept trying to rectify the situation and, sue anybody that said she wasn't just being used by the Nazis. In the meantime, she had hooked up on the quiet with Hubbard, and they were reworking everything and trying to, put it back out. Here's an article, looks like Will Smith and Jada Smith they're kids. You can thank them for turning out weird. They're Scientologists also. So they don't really care what's happening to their son when they're alone. And let's get back on. Let's share the screen here, Tommy. I want to ask you and some of the other people like myself that have had some of the background with Ronald Reagan. Remember he had that one adopted son that turned out later he had admitted, he'd been raped all his life and daddy never knew it. And now he still loves Ronald Reagan and he's on the news. His dad knew, man.
He was from Hollywood.
His dad knew it. Every second of every day he knew what was going on there. And that's why he adopted that kid, so he'd have somebody to pass out. Right. And Ron Reagan Jr. turned out the way he did because that's the way his daddy wanted him to turn out. Right.
And it's so crazy. We were talking about it last week. You brought that, it's funny, Will and Smith and his wife are in there, because I read a deal that said, one day their boy will wear a dress. If he wants to wear a tutu or a bikini, they're just like, hey, and they have this safe time where the kids can tell them to piss off and they won't get in trouble. They can call them anything they want. They can do whatever they want in that safe time. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. These people, and they're just so proud that, you know, their kid chooses to wear a dress when he feels like wearing a dress. That's important.
So this is supposed to be one of the greatest films ever made because she could do all these good close-ups, man. Would you just look at that close-up? Wow, I've never seen anybody do a close-up like that before. Wow. And look at this one. Oh, look at that. She's the greatest movie maker that ever lived. Look at that close-up. Wow.
This is her movie.
This is her movie.
Right.
This is how come everybody in the
That
world
looks
still
so
talks
real.
about her.
It'd be interesting to know what reverse speech and symbolism is in that movie.
Oh, look at that special effect. The mountain's breaking.
That is so cheesy.
That's so much better than anybody else
Oh, my
ever
God.
did in the whole
I reckon
world.
my son could make a better movie on the
Oh,
iPhone.
yeah. That was so. But see, that's the thing. We've talked about it many times. The Masons, they pick who gets to put out. They get who's in charge. All these things. We know these things.
In the meantime, it's not us white people in Texas, Tommy, against the black people in Texas. It's us white people and us black people against these guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
These are the guys, man. You know, they're trying, whatever they're trying to say, here's your fight, boys. Here's your fight. Here's your fight. That's not the fight. Here's our fight. Our fight is for the truth about the Lord Jesus and presenting our bodies as a living sacrifice, not trying to get back to the 1920s so we could have more flapper girls getting tattoos and tramp stamps so that they can be like, yeah, choose me, choose me. Who knows what motivates these people? But they're being brainwashed for one reason, Tommy, so that they can have little children and more sexually free children that they can pick their little boys from.
Right? They love the kids. I saw a deal yesterday. One of the spotters for NASCAR got arrested and is being charged with endangerment of a preborn child and abuse, of a woman. Well, they'll protect that unborn child when it's something like that, when he punches the woman. But if she walks out and wants an abortion, they won't show her.
Yeah.
Tell
Or
me
has
the
a child
sanity
and then just
in
dumps
that.
it on a fireman's step, where they can have a child and just,
Right.
dump it in a certain amount of time at a fire station, just
Right.
that it's like life isn't regarded as as high as
But
it used to
beats
be.
abortion any day.
Mm,
I'd rather be dumped at a fire station than aborted.
yeah,
Just
true.
my choice. Just my
Here's this saying. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to say this, right? A better way to look at it is 1% control the world, 4% are sellout puppets, 90% are asleep,
right.
5% know and are trying to wake the 90% up. The 1% don't want the 5% waking the 90% up. Do you get it?
Exactly. That's the numbers, and they know that 10% or more of a population is all it takes to move them all.
Yep, that's all we need. Yep. I was looking at a documentary today, and they actually have 60 of these sensor devices that measures frequencies. And these devices measured when Lady Diana's death was announced. There was a huge spike. So they were looking for frequencies from the sun or earthquakes or anything, and there was a huge spike. And then there was another, the Pope's death, all that they found sensors.
I remember hearing about that.
And that's why they did it in the first place, was they noticed it with the Pope's death, and then they put these more in, and they noticed it with Diana's death, and they done studies about it. And you're right, we only need, it's the human collective. That's the only thing they fear is us getting together. That's why there's division. That's why there's race. That's why there's religion. That's why there's, as I said, there's these traps at every step we take, and no human really wants to truly harm another human. This is where we need to say, hang on, we're being played. Why are they doing that? No, we need to come together, put our differences aside, and see that we're being played and they're laughing behind our backs, because that's what's happening.
Well, one of the best remarks I ever heard about that is you can't go by what you see on TV, of course, or in the movies. You can only go by what's observable. And I don't see murders. I don't see racism. I don't see any of that stuff in my world where I live. And you gotta imagine that the same person 10 miles away is in that same place. But we're convinced that it's terrible out there. We're convinced that it's just everybody hates everybody, black and white. It's all separate, and we're gonna, that's gonna be our downfall until we submit as white people. Just submit and go, all right, I'll keep working. You take half my money. You deserve it. That's, they're beating us down with that, and people are falling into it. Oh my God, seeing those people sit there and go, the only real way to get rid of racism is redistribution of wealth. What? Money? You've tried money at every single thing in the world, and it just gets worse.
Yeah, no, money's not the answer.
Money don't do it.
Yeah,
But
no,
that's
you can have
always
all the
their
money
answer.
in the world.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They get rich, but they get rich. That money goes to them and committees and foundations that are going to help people, and they only help themselves. They don't help anybody else.
Well, I'd like to know where the $100 million went to all the fire victims, from the fires here in 2019, because not 1 cent has been given to any of those people from the Red Cross. We know who the Red Cross is. But yeah, those people are still basically homeless, living out of caravan parks, renting. They haven't had their homes fixed or replaced like they were promised. And, the media has, every time it's been brought up by a politician or something, gets mentioned in a small bit, but it's not, mentioned again. It's pushed aside. And, they've got all this money and they refuse to release it. This was donated by Australians, thinking it was going to go to the Australians. And Red Cross turned around and said, no, we'll wait and work out what the insurance companies pay and this and that. And we don't have to give it to them. And I think they've only paid out probably 200,000, 500,000 at the most. They have not paid much out at all.
Lawyers got paid. I guarantee you they've been paid.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that, because they're part of the club. They, you have to be in the bar to sort of do it.
All right, what do you got here, Alan? Is that a freaking?
I'm trying to compare
railroad
this
with that
to the city grids and to sigillistic magic, because I didn't find the one. I just did a quick search, but I want you to see how this is that phrenology, and this was you can't believe how popular. I mean, this was, although we look back at it now, phrenology, and they just act like it's nothing. But at the time, this was 1883, and it wasn't just a small deal. So it went from 1848, you can see the date there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, this is, quite a big bust. So let's, it's what the ancient Greeks and basically put in our mind now that we're studying history, and we all know that double-headed eagle was the sign of the Habsburg Empire.
Yeah.
The most famous Habsburg was probably, let them eat cake, Marie Antoinette said. But do you know when the Habsburg, that royal family ended and they quit dressing the way they did? World War I.
Oh, okay.
World War I was the end of the Habsburg Empire. So, and we hear about the Victorian era. Well, that ended in World War I. And then all of a sudden, everything was Hugo Boss, who made those Nazi uniforms and learned how to, let's snap it up. Let's start initially what became dressing like the S&M, BD-S&M movement, with the black boots and everything else, and the the neo steampunk look. That's my opinion of it. And it all comes back to these suckers. It's not that long ago. What they say is ancient Greeks, I say is just was like Grimm's fairy tales. Yeah, back when the giants lived 100 years ago. So,
Yeah,
you know, today we can call it pseudoscience.
yeah, it wasn't that long ago, and I mean, I've seen newspaper clippings where in America, the museum, the Smithsonian Museum, went around, and every time giants' bones were found, they would go around and pay them, and they'd pay them a high amount and tell them not to talk about it, and if the press got a hold of it, they'd just brush it off. And they'd go and dump them out in the ocean. That's where they threw all the bones, so no one could find them.
Wow.
They did try to burn them, but they couldn't burn them. They wouldn't break down. It was taking them too long, so they just had a whole heap of them and dumped them in the ocean because they didn't even want, people that were doing the archives and all that to come across and find it later on. And these were big, big giants. These weren't, 12 foot or 15 foot. These were big.
And that's what's so crazy about it is any normal person would be like, let's show this. Why are these people going, can't show this? Why? What's your deal? What's going on?
They dress funny
Give
in
us one reason that we can't see this. What are you hiding?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was funny last night. I think it's funny last night, Static, I think it was yesterday or last night, he put a video up and he's saying that he can't find anyone that will debate the mud flood, or he can't find anyone that debate the Civil War did happen. He believes it happened and say that the Civil War.
I told you about
that. Yeah, you told me.
I told him about that. Now, because I'm not sure what Static hopes to prove. I mean, he knows he admits they lied about something.
Right. And once I know they lied about one thing, I'm assuming they lied about everything.
Well, I do too. Like it doesn't.
From there, I don't trust any of it from there.
We're looking at the Victorian era.
Yep.
And the countries involved. We are involved. Honkies are involved.
Listen, I look at frustrating.
This ended in World War I. And they want us to act like, we're supposed to believe in quantum physics and black holes and dark matter. No, we don't. But you know what? I'm telling you right now, with this phrenology, if I just studied this a little bit, I would be able to tell you. Put me back on the camera there.
Put you back on.
Hey, Alan, can you just turn your mic down a bit? It's just a little bit too loud. Shucks.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's funny because I was going to tell you yours is too.
And he's projecting.
I was going to tell you yours isn't loud enough.
Okay, I'll turn my volume
anyway, what I was getting at, because I don't know how to turn it off. I'm muted on my computer.
Okay. Yep. Sorry.
So I would be able to, using phrenology, be able to tell a black person from a Oriental, from a Caucasian, from an Islander. Tommy, I could do it.
I can do it.
I have seen enough of, what they're saying, like, oh, this is an Irish gold, this is this and that. Well, if there are those differences, I would be able to tell it.
Right.
And I could do it today, and I'll bet I could do it with after just a month of practice.
Right.
Do you know?
Who cares?
Right. Who cares?
Alan, strange you mentioned that. My stepmom was a registered nurse, level 5 doctor here, and she said she noticed with different races of people that she was a theatre nurse, a midwife, all that. She noticed different races have their organs in different parts, or their organ might be a little bit different. They might be a different shape, but and she's also noticed that they have different, subtle changes that everyday people wouldn't even notice once you're on the inside of the body, which is really, it's interesting and understandable, but you don't hear about that.
What do we know about the past? We don't hear about it because I guess we're the ones that are going to have to talk about it.
Well,
Yeah.
the pictures and the stuff that we do see don't make sense once you see the big picture with what they tell us. We see the elaborate tech buildings and stuff, and they tell us these people were stupid, that they couldn't master water, that they had no idea about plumbing, but they have these castles and the clothes
Yeah.
they wore.
And even the
just-
people that live the quiet life, were probably the people that would say, like, that's the life for me.
Right.
I don't need that big city stuff. Even though it's nicer in the big city back then, they like it in the country.
Yeah.
But the Victorian age and everything
That
else.
looks like a dude in the blue. That look like a dude? That looks.
I don't know. It looks like a girl to me, but
No, I was going to say it looks like a man dressed as a woman
that's the
to me.
Victorian age.
What'd you say, Al?
I think the Victorian age was the end of the golden age, and
Right.
we don't know exactly. Like if Static wants to argue that there was a civil war, I could argue with him for an hour, and I don't.
It's not going to really achieve anything. Apart, it might
Our
wake people
civil
up.
war was the Battle of Tartaria, and that's where Lesser Tartaria came from, and blah blah blah. I mean, you could make so many different arguments with the rabbit trails right now. Is that really what we want?
No, it's a
Because
distraction.
why has Static not mentioned the Bible? Nothing we've said. He hasn't mentioned the stones crying out. He hasn't mentioned the giants. Static's not on board yet with the added 1,000 years, as far as I can tell. Why? Where did he came back from building these houses with a vengeance on mud flood in history in Brazil? That's coming from where? Not biblically centered, as far as I can tell.
And guys like that, he's dancing all around the truth. It's right there. He's pointing out. He just won't say it. He's seeing it. It's right there. He just won't say, "Man, this has got to be. This has got to be it." 1,000 years is missing. That really lied to us.
Right.
Yeah,
And
he does say that.
1850, it's the Catholics, it's the Freemasons.
Yeah,
Why is it hard not to just take the next step and be like, wow, maybe this, maybe that? Because we're only doing this mud flood stuff to get people to realize that 1,000 years has passed, the golden age is over, Jesus is coming back, and by the way, you still are going to serve somebody, and it's going to be the devil or the Lord, and people can think they're serving the Lord, but are actually serving the devil. We know it because we have the Bible.
and we have the
And there, so it's basically there's your choices, good against evil.
right versus wrong.
Here,
man.
you take over, Tommy. I'm done.
You're done.
Yeah, that was the last one I wanted to show.
That was it. All right. Well, I gotta go anyway. The wife's in there unpacking the house. I could feel her vibration a while ago. It wasn't
We'll
good.
pray for
Ellen,
Scotty. We'll pray for Ella. We'll pray for Morgan.
Right.
Ellen, it's been a great share and interesting. I'm going to go and look up what you're talking about, the ship there that you've shown and
Right.
everything else you've shown. And yeah, Scotty, we will keep Scotty in our prayers about it losing his daughter. As I said, you don't ever want to lose a child. You don't want to bury a child. And I'll keep you guys in my prayers for a barrier of protection around you and everyone
Okay.
that's in our little family.
All he's got now is a box of pictures and videos of when she was his best friend.
Right.
She wouldn't talk to him since he became flat earther 4 years ago.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's sad that people go to these extremes, like Scotty's not knowing about his daughter because of his beliefs. This is really frustrating, and it shouldn't be happening. It's causing rifts amongst, each other. And, it's just a word. Why should you
Right.
have your family break up over a word or an idea? I just don't get it.
Programming.
Really frustrating. Yeah, it is the programming. Yeah, I mean, It's like that. I don't remember which president it was. He said, if it's not on TV, the American public won't believe it. You know, you mentioned that before. Unless it's on TV, it's not real.
All right, we're gonna close with a quick prayer, guys.
Prayer.
Your hats, ladies.
Cover my head. Yep.
You know how we like it. Lord, we come to you today just thanking you for many blessings, Lord. We just ask that you watch over Scotty and his family in their time of grief. I just ask, Lord, that you watch over all our subscribers, Lord. We know you're the narrow path, Lord, and I truly believe that we're on the right path here, Lord. We're trying to get your word out in a positive, mindset with the love and the compassion that you tell us. We just ask, Lord, that you be with our leaders. Give them something, Lord. Give their heart over. They know you exist. We just ask, Lord, that you bless Alan and his word. He's been working hard on it, Lord, and we're in a new place. We just ask that you bless us. And I ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody. Good night.
All
Afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
That was
See
a
you
good
later.